Welcome to the playoff edition of our Fearless Forecast. Jim, the regular season is over. You mentioned last week that all 6 teams in Pitt County are playing really well. They're all 6 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think that's a testament to those teams. So we got 6 games to talk about, playoff games. Obviously, at this point, you win or you go home. So we'll see what happens next week. But for now, a lot of teams still playing and some good games to talk about. So you can start us off here, an 8-9 matchup, which should be a close one in theory. Fairmont goes to Farmville Central.
Yeah, Fairmont is the 9 seed. Farmville Central is the 8 seed. That's one of those ones where you didn't know quite where Farmville Central was going to end up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We're going to roll around, but they ended up getting the home game in the first round. And we talked about how Fairmont's record might be a little deceiving, the 6-5 mark. But maybe the best matchup of the week.
Yeah.
Farmville is playing extremely strong right now, back-to-back shutouts.
Yeah.
And anytime you can do that in high school football, I think is impressive. So this is really shaping up well. Farmville they're getting rewarded. They were 9-2. You think you deserve a home game.
I agree.
In the playoffs if you're 9-2. They surrendered some bad luck and ended up as the 3rd seed out of that conference. But with the way things worked out, Farmville fans will be loud and strong out there for this game.
Yeah, they should be. Yeah, I think it's a good one. Who are you going to pick in the first matchup?
I'm going to take Farmville. I saw them play against North Pitt last week, and it was a scoreless game going into the 4th quarter. But I think it was a little deceiving because North Pitt's offense was kept in check the whole way. Farmville's defense dominated that game.
Yeah.
North Pitt's only first down came on the very last play of the game, a long run there. But the way Farmville's defense is playing right now, like I said, you get back-to-back shutouts, you're doing something right.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
that defense is the difference this week, and they get a big win.
All right, yeah, I'm going to take the Jaguars as well. I think it could be close.
Yeah.
I like the talent. I like what you said about the defense. If you're playing at home, you got a good defense. I think that's all you probably need, or for the most part, that's what you need in the first round of the playoffs. I'll take that defense, and I think Farmville wins a close one. I'll take the next game here. We're still on the 2 single-A bracket. Bertie is at Aiden Griffin, and man, the Chargers, 5 straight wins. They scored 68 points last week, which I didn't know if that was possible with this team, a month or 2 ago, when they were not, I guess 2 months ago, really, early in the season, when they were struggling. They were having issues even snapping the ball, handing the ball off, doing a whole lot on offense. They got it rolling now. They're using a bunch of different running backs. They've kind of settled in on offense and figured out what they're good at. Scored 68 points last week. Keep that winning streak going. Bertie, on the other hand, gave up 68 points. They've played a pretty tough schedule. They're in a tough conference. Finished 3rd in that conference, I believe. But yeah, I mean, they're 5-6. Aiden Griffin's 7-4. You gotta like the Chargers at home. I think they're probably the clear favorite here. But they're in the playoffs. Bertie, like I said, is battle tested a little bit. So I think Aiden Griffin has to play well to win. But they're certainly playing well right now. So I think they got momentum going, and I think have a kind of a clear advantage in this one. So obviously, I'll take the Chargers. I think that offense, those running backs I've mentioned, the different weapons they're able to kind of develop, I think are really clicking right now. So I'll take Aiden Griffin to win.
Yeah, suddenly their offense is matching their defense. So
Yeah.
they went through that stretch where they went 2.5 games without giving up a point. Now they could throw up 68 points at the same time, and it makes them a dangerous team. Bertie's got that long bus trip. I think it's going to be an even longer bus trip home. On Friday night, I think Chargers get a big win.
All right. 2 home teams so far. We'll see if this sticks. We'll go to the 2 AA bracket, Jim. North Pitt is at Washington, a game that we saw 2 weeks ago, really.
Yeah, and that did not turn out well in North Pitt's favor.
No.
Washington, 32-7 win. Washington clearly deserved the number 1 seed they got in the 2 AA bracket. They've been playing well all year. And now, of course, North Pitt gets in the playoffs. They're the 16th seed, and what do they get? They get a trip back to Washington and have to face that team again.
Yeah.
I will give North Pitt credit, though. That is a gritty team. Their defense is strong. They, like I said earlier, they shut out Farmville Central for 3 quarters. They're stout, but boy, it's a tough test, especially when you've just seen this team and they handled you pretty well just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I agree. Who are you going to pick?
I think you got to pick Washington in there just by looking at the numbers from what happened last time. And, they're just a tough team to beat right now. I think they're 10-1. Is that right?
Yeah.
10-1. That one lost to Havelock.
I was gonna say that.
I mean, they're just a legit team right now and a legit title, state title contenders. So I just think they're gonna be a little too much for North Pitt to handle.
I agree. Yeah, I think definitely the Pan Pack is the pick. I do like teams when you lost during the regular season, when you play in the playoffs. I think that's good for the team that lost the original game because you can look at film and see what went wrong and kind of correct those mistakes.
Did that happen with New Bern and Rose?
Yeah, Rose and Conley last year,
yeah,
and potentially could happen with Rose and New Bern next week. We'll get to that a little later, but yeah, you can figure out what you did wrong easier than you can figure out what you did right, I think, in those situations, if that makes any sense. But that said, I think the talent gap and just the overall gap between Washington and North Pitt is too much. I think Washington is definitely the pick in that one. I'll take the next game. South Central, speaking of a little bit of a travel here, they head down to Wilmington facing an undefeated Hoggard team. Hoggard's done it with its defense. I mean, most teams, I think all but 2 teams have scored less than 10 points. I mean, they're single digits every week, some shutouts, and I haven't seen them play. Obviously, don't know exactly what they have on defense, but whatever it is, it's working. South Central can score. We know that. We know Sean Furlow. The quarterback I've been really impressed with. Robert Rapp has kind of come along. It seems like improved and kind of matured throughout the year. So I think that's the matchup in this one for sure, is Hoggard's defense against South Central's offense. Can they score points? Can they keep up and kind of keep that thing close? Because playing an undefeated team, going to that place or traveling to their place is usually not a good spot to be in. Falcons I think are the underdog and have their work cut out. Big game by Furlow. You never know. That's a clear wild card. But with that pick, I'm going to take Hoggard. I mean, they're the second seed in the East. They're undefeated. They're playing at home. I think South Central has a chance. I think they maybe have a better chance than Conley to pull an upset, really, even though the seeds are kind of flip-flop a little bit. But I think it could be close. Like I said, I like what South Central can do on offense, but I think Hoggard at home gets the win.
Yeah, you mentioned Hoggard hadn't given up more than 10 points, but twice. They haven't given up more than 15 points at all this year.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean,
that's pretty crazy.
To go this deep into the season and not have given up more than 2 touchdowns essentially in a game. I think that'll be the difference, But that South Central team, they're a touchdown away. They're 8 points away from winning this past week against Conley and being on a 4-game winning streak.
Yeah,
I just don't think you can count them out of any game. I think this will be a much closer game than a typical 2 versus 15 team.
Yeah,
I think that'll be very misleading. Because South Central 7-4 in a very tough conference. You look at all those teams ahead of them are all New Bern, Rose, Conley, South Central, all in the playoffs and all deserve to be.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think you just got to give Hoggard the benefit of the doubt, being the number 2 seed and having not lost at this point, and South Central having to make the trip there. I think Hoggard gets a close win.
Yeah.
But I think it's like that Conley game last week where Hoggard gets a touchdown victory.
They're gonna have to fight for it.
Oh yeah, that's not gonna be an easy win.
Yeah. All right. Next game. Staying in that conference, and really another Wilmington Pitt County matchup. New Hanover travels this way and plays Rose.
These 2 teams are no strangers to each other. Have been in the same conference not all that long ago. Rose is coming off that tough loss to New Bern, where they had the early touchdown, had a chance to take a 14 or 10-0 lead.
Yeah,
couldn't get it done, and then things just kind of fell apart from there. This is an 8-9 matchup. But I don't know if Rose is your typical 8, your typical 8 seed. Their 2 losses are two pretty good teams in Eastern Wayne and New Bern. Rose has proven it can score on anybody. So I just think it's one of those matchups where it'll be interesting to see what happens. Because again, with New Hanover, again they play in a tough conference. They had to deal with the Hoggards and all those Wilmington schools.
Yeah.
So it's 2 battle-tested teams that'll play against each other on Friday night.
Yeah, I was going to say the same type of thing. All right, who's your prediction now?
Well, we were talking right before we started filming that New Hanover struggled on the road, 2-4 on the road, and so they haven't won on the road yet. I don't think they'll start this week. I think Rose has enough. I think Rose will be real anxious to get a win and get a rematch with New Bern potentially next week. You're probably getting ready to say something about that. New Bern's on the next side of that bracket, the winner more likely face them next round. And I think Rose is just chomping at the bit to get that shot.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to take Rose as well. I think the New Bern aspect plays into it a little bit, but you mentioned that Rose is probably better than an 8 seed, and New Hanover is probably better than a 9.
That's true.
Too. I think
true.
this kind of speaks to the 4A East and the depth in some of these teams and the conferences they play in. So I think I'll take the Rampants. I think it's going to be close, though. I'm a little hesitant, to be honest. I think New Hanover is a really good team. I think they're going to come in here and play really well. I'll take Rose in that offense to kind of bounce back and play well after not. It played okay against New Bern last week, but I think New Bern obviously is really, really good. I'll take Rose to win a close one, but I think it's going to be really tough. It's going to be a close game. The last one here, finally our sixth and final game. D.H. Conley travels to Scotland County. Scotland, you talk about a tough task in the first round. Scotland County is only a 3 seed, but they beat Richmond County last week pretty handily, beat them by 3 touchdowns. Richmond County was the number 1 team in the whole state. I mean, they were ranked higher than New Bern, and Scotland took it to them. So this is no easy task at all for Conley. We know what Conley does each week and each season, really. I mean, they run the ball. They play that ball control, time possession. They need to keep Scotland's offense off the field. I mean, get points, long drives, make it a short game, keep it as close as they can, which I think they can. I think the Vikings have, like I said, the running game and the talent to do it. But Scotland's playing as well as anybody in the entire state right now, so this is not an easy first-round matchup at all. The Vikings have their work cut out for them. So I'm going to take Scotland for my pick. I'm going to take the safe route. Like I said, I think this is a team that could be playing New Bern in 3-4 weeks, whatever, for the East Championship. So I'll take Scotland to win.
I think I'm going to take Scotland as well. Not only did they beat Richmond County, previous number 1 team, their only losses to the top 3A team by a touchdown. By a touchdown. So they're that close to being undefeated. And you look at who they played. I mean, they played the top 4A and the top 3A teams in the state. So they're battle tested. They get to play at home. All 3 of Conley's losses have come on the road. Granted, they're all against really good teams. Rose, New Bern, and Washington. All 3 in the playoffs. All 3 8 seeds are better. Two number 1 seeds. New Bern's the 1 seed, right? So it's not like they've lost any games they probably shouldn't have. But this is just too tough a task going on the road and ask them to win. Really tough first round matchup. Not again. We talk about how these seeds are not what you typically see. A lot of times we get in these playoffs, we see these teams that are 4 and 6 and or 3 and 8 get in somehow, and then they just get slaughtered. It's not this way. I mean, Conley's a really good 14 seed. It's unlike what we've seen, I think, in the last couple of years. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree. I think that is, like I said earlier, the 4A East is, I think, stacked and balanced. So that's what makes it. That's why you end up with Conley as a 14 seed, South Central and
15. And Rose as an 8 seed. I mean, So I don't know if I said my pick was Scotland County for sure.
We're good. All right. Well, there's the first week of the playoffs, and depending on how these games shake out, we might have a show next week. I'm guessing we probably will. But we will see you back next week. One programming note, in case there isn't a show next week. Shout out to Sarah Cowell, our video girl behind the camera. She is just as important, if not more important, than us or Tony that you see out at games.
Well, let's not get crazy.
trying to throw her bone. But make sure if you see her on the sideline, she's at games as well. Say hey, she is important to this production. So shout out to her, and probably see you back next week.